I got to call out your state. Let me see what state that is. That's Pennsylvania. Okay. Okay. PA 9668. Your mic is open.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's happening, man? What's going on?
Hi. So, I ain't talked to you in a long time. What you were talking about earlier, you know one thing that we've never discussed on Chisholm versus Georgia?
What was
We
it?
talk about sovereignty, yes. But didn't they say that the state was an artificial person?
Who was an artificial person?
And what did the 14th Amendment apply to? Artificial persons.
Yeah, it does.
So
The 14th Amendment didn't exist in Chisholm versus Georgia. You know that, right?
yes, I do.
Okay, all right.
Everything in the fiction world operates according to agency. Okay, you're in the private. You the man. But what does the Fourth Amendment say? It says the right of the people, that's the men and women, to be secure in their persons. What is a person? It's something of the fiction world. They put it right in our face, right in the beginning.
They did, but let me tell you why that is, because you have to have
Georgia.
fictions that can possess rights in the public, because criminal law is where? It's in the public, it's not in the private. So if a crime is committed that has to be adjudicated before public officers, they had to have you give you some sort of public persona so you could participate in the public. They understood it way back then. They did understand, because legal fictions go all the way back to the Romans. They go back to the Romans.
True. And you've always said public and private do not mix.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you remember me commenting on one of your videos, but it's probably been 8, 9. It was the very first sovereign citizen fail video you put out. And you talked about the name argument, how it don't work. And I said it worked for me, and you said you'd want to see proof. Well, I tried to post the link to the video on Rumble, and I don't think Google will let you.
Wait a minute, hold on. When you said the name, okay, what do you mean when you said the name? You going into court trying to say what about the name?
I did it actually 12 days before court with the clerk, and they sealed and dismissed the record.
Well,
When they asked
listen.
about the name on the.
Listen, I'm not going to say that didn't work. Let me clarify my position on that. First of all, I've been in court a lot of times in a lot of different jurisdictions all over the country. And here's what I've noticed. There are a lot of similarities that they all do. There are similarities how they answer questions, robots and things like that. But their attitude towards certain people can be different. Depending, you don't know what the reason is. Like, I've had cases dismissed, traffic tickets disappear. All that happened to me too. But at the same time, I've also had it where they try to take me all the way to the whole length of the football field, to get some sort of result. Because my only thing is there is no cookie cutter method that you can produce that's going to work for everybody every time. That's not going to happen. That's not happening.
That is the problem in the legal. That is the very problem in the legal community with the process method people. What you said a few minutes ago, that it has to become part of your heart. When it becomes part of you, you will know how to say things.
That's right.
Know what to do. Because didn't you say a long time ago? Because I followed you back when I purchased all your webinars before STC University.
Okay. Okay.
And you said principles of law are few and never changing.
That's right.
Method are many and are fluid. Most people out there are teaching a method. What do they call those? They call those procedures. They call those processes. They do my template.
Yeah, they're teaching processes.
Concentrate on principles. Yeah, they never concentrate on principles.
The principles are what, and I got that from one of the original Supreme Court justices. I forget which one it was, but he was one of the major signers of the Constitution. He gave a speech in front of some law students in Pennsylvania, and during one of the students asked him, how are they supposed to learn the law? There was so much to learn. And he said, no, you're not supposed to learn all that. You're supposed to learn the principles. Get locked down the principles. And then that's when you can see the Supreme Court justices. When you are reading a Supreme Court justice's opinion, that opinion, even though the legal principles are not expressly stated, they are always being utilized as a basis for the decision. And once you understand what those principles are, you can see them being put into play too. That's why I say it's important to understand separation of powers. That's a vitally important principle of constitutional law to understand when we get to a discussion about how the courts are set up. Because Congress created courts. They say Congress had the Judiciary Act, and then they made the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, how did you make the U.S. Supreme Court when Article 3 of the Constitution is the one that made the Supreme Court?
Let me give you a case for that. Federal Radio Commission versus General Electric. You should read that. In that court case, in one of the paragraphs on the court case, it literally says that the Article 3 court has no jurisdiction for review, for appeal, or anything, because it was created by the Article 3 of the Constitution, and it has a limited jurisdiction as laid out in Article 3. Now, I'm not getting the verbiage exactly right, but it says it has no jurisdiction over legislative and administrative courts.
Okay, let me say this. That's 100%. That is 100% true. And I totally agree with that. However, let me add a caveat to that. They have something called the delegation of powers doctrine. And also, under that doctrine, Congress created a U.S. Supreme Court, and they can delegate legislative powers to Article 3 judges to review. So when they say that Article 3 doesn't have no review powers, they don't, because it's not inherent in the Constitution. But that doesn't mean it can't be delegated to them. And that is what happened with Congress. They delegated that authority to review their lower court cases. But everything I read in law says that anytime Congress wants to, they can take that power away from Article 3. As a matter of fact, when you look at the Judiciary Committee on YouTube, that video, The Role of the Supreme Court Under the Constitution, where they had a judicial committee and those senators called Breyer and Scalia in to ask them some questions. That's why they could do that. But he said, he's like, look, they start getting into constitutional discussions. Like when they delegated the power to them to make the sentencing guidelines, and Scalia told them, I thought that was unconstitutional. How you gonna give it to us, Article 3 judges, to make determinations of punishments that go on under your branch of government? That's not our job to do. That's for you to do, to make that decision, how much time people get. Because there's a separation of power when it comes to Article 3 and Article 1. But they're acting colorably. So this is delegation of powers doctrine. If you put that into Google, you can see many different law reviews that are written on the delegation powers doctrine as it relates to Article 3 judges coming from Article 1. They delegate to Article 2 and Article 3.
Well, like you said, they wear many hats.
Yes, they do. Yes. As a matter of fact, one of the Supreme Court justices got into an argument with George Washington about that. He said, how you going to get us to wear two hats? He said, the offices are not compatible with each other. How y'all going to do this? Man, let me tell you something. The things I tell y'all about, I'm not pulling that shit out of my ass. I read these damn law books. It's what I know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about too. They can never admit to the things I'm saying. That will open a Pandora's box. If they admitted to what I'm saying, that shit is going to be on every fucking news channel.
And the comment, somebody said it's U.S. versus General Electric. No, it's called Federal Radio Commission versus General Electric, and I'll post it. You talked about, you've got my number there.
Okay, I got it.
I got that phone call recorded. And there's some things you don't put in the public. You understand that, okay?
Right.
So
Yeah. I
reach
understand that.
out,
Yeah.
and I'll share what I did.
Okay.
share what I did,
If
and
you
I'm
want to
not the
share
only
what you
one
did,
that's done
I
it.
will put it. I will review it, and I'll make sure everybody sees it.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one that's used these arguments because people don't even realize they got the evidence in their own possession, and they don't even see it.
They don't see it, but I mean, it's because listen, man, there's been a big dumbing down that's been going on. It's preoccupying people with entertainment. You know, like I was thinking about it. What is there really to do in society besides when you want to go out on Saturday night? What do y'all call going out? Going out getting something to eat? Going to that's all they want y'all to do now. Just go to restaurants. We used to go out on Saturday night and dance, sweat. When I was growing up, man, going to the club and dancing with a woman was the shit. That was how women would choose you if they wanted to dance with you. But it's like that shit is like foreign now. Everybody you just go out just to eat.
By the way, I got a plea bargain in my possession back that I've had for a little over a month. And you talk about how they give you a hard time over that. What is that case you've been talking a lot about where you got the transcripts about it being commercial? And you talk about how they put it in their federal cases about violations of the Commerce Clause.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in the indictment, right?
Yeah.
They also put it in plea bargains. I got this plea bargain where it talks about that it was part of the Commerce Clause. And not only that, if you know what you're reading, they admit that it's all contracts.
Man, you're absolutely correct. I like how you just said that if you know how to read it, because they are to a degree transparent. It's just that what they're saying is just people think an attorney have to interpret it for them. You know, they think an attorney have to interpret it for you. So you'll never really find out what is being really said. But they have to operate under plausible deniability. They got to tell you the truth. They tell you the truth on TV shows.
Well, I mean, you talk about it a long time ago how plea bargains are contracts. Well, in the restatement of the law of contracts, there's 77 citations that say that it's a contract.
Yeah.
Now, do they put it in a court case and blatantly say that it's a contract? No. They always cite the principles.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me say it says.
That's the sad part. These attorneys know these principles. They can't say they don't. They went to law school to learn these principles.
They sure did. Hold on, let me see. It said TJ Kurritz, $20. Thank you, sir. If the exchange from 1933 was benefits and privileges for labor, then would it also mean that the obligation of all notes of the U.S. would only include the U.S. citizen or private people entitled to that same obligation? No, you're right. It only includes U.S. citizens. How are they also going to tax your labor without a social security number? You tell me.
Yep.
How are they going to tax your labor without a social security number?
Number in that name.
Social security number is what makes you a U.S. citizen.
Number in that name?
A social security number is for benefits and privileges. That's what it's for. It's like a Sam's Club card. Go ahead.
I personally do not believe it makes you the man a U.S. citizen because you know trust law. Look up signatories to the trustee reports. As soon as I saw that, who the trustees are, I said, wait a minute here. Trust law hasn't changed. Trust law is still there. If they're the legal owner of the res of the account, that means they're the owner of the name and the account.
Well, yeah, they are owner of that name. That name is not, listen, it's just a trust. The name is not really significant to any degree. It's understanding what the name is. If the name is a trust and they created the trust and named it after you, so a trust has to have a trustees, a beneficiary, and a trust corpus, okay? And trustees have a duty to make money for the trust. I don't think that's what a lot of people realize too, to preserve the property and multiply the property of the trust. They got to multiply because nothing stays the
That's
same.
exactly
Change
right.
is the only thing that doesn't change. So it's about growth. So
By law, back in the 1950s, they passed laws where the trustees have to make the trust profitable.
yeah,
Have to. If not, that's a breach of fiduciary duty,
exactly.
and the investors can sue.
Exactly. So there's a profit, and you know when you talk about U.S. citizens and benefits and privileges are dispensed from the federal territory under this corporate fiction because the Constitution don't talk about nothing about the government getting involved with giving you benefits and privileges. So it'd have to be something territorial where they possess plenary power to operate from. That's another conclusion that you can reach. The Constitution don't talk about us getting benefits and privileges from the government. The only duty of the government is protect our borders, protect our property, and protect our liberty. That is all the government should be involved in as it relates to us. That's what private people want to go back
Article
to.
1, Section 8. Yep.
Stay
Article 1,
out
Section
of
8,
our
Clause
business.
17, territory.
This is what his argument for great.
They
See,
can only,
the only people want that government regulation like that are communists, socialists, Marxists.
and they want to get rid of private rights.
They the ones like that government control. So now when you look out when you watch the news and you understand what I just said to you, listen to the things that they're saying, look for the people who are for government intervention, government regulation, victimhood. We need the government to come in and stop this because we being victims of this. That's what victims are. Victims are just people who are going to government looking for ways to get government involved in our business.
Correct. So there's a lot more I could say, but like I said, there's a lot of things you don't put out in the public.
I agree.
I'll respect the rights of the public. So, yeah, reach out.
I will, brother. I will. I'll reach out. I might have you
What's
just
going on?
appear as a guest on SPC University during a class.
I'd be honored, sir. I really would.
All right. I appreciate it, brother. Let me get to the next caller.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace.